Today, on Be Something Wonderful, he is pursuing me. She shifted realities in less than 48 hours. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Massive video this morning. I want to talk about this client that sent me a follow-up email after meeting with her on Wednesday of this past week. So this was fast, and she shared with me her absolute shift in realities, which were the result of a shift in her assumptions. She changed her assumptions and changed her world. I want to talk about this because we talk about assumptions. Remember, assumptions create your reality, all of it. The assumptions about yourself and the world creates your entire life experience. What was interesting is as I was finishing up the finishing touches on this session that I'm created to, this lesson that I've created for you this morning, I had another session with a client who's new to the channel. He said he's been on 3 months now binge watching the videos, and has been really influenced by a few videos in particular he talked about. One was a story of a reconciliation of a woman and her son, their relationship. That's on the channel. And the other was the idea that I talked about Solaris, that I remembered her wrong, or somehow I remembered everything wrong, right? This idea that our memories are imaginal acts, right? As we hold on to these things, we recreate those memories, we recreate those images. And so they're just ideas in the horizontal reality, and they are just as real as any other image that you can imagine. So I want to talk about this because he shared a really amazing story, that a reconciliation with his father. There was a lot of stuff that went on between them, a lot of assumptions on both their parts. But remember, you create your own reality. So really it was based on his assumptions about his father. And he really determined that he was remembering his father wrong. And as he did that, his father had it, and they hadn't, keep in mind, they hadn't talked in years. And in the same type of situation where he sees the grandkids, the grandfather once in a while, but not really a lot, right? Not frequently. And so the father felt, cut off, blocked, right, by him, blocked from the grandkids, all of this. So a lot of that was going on. So his father had what he described as a minor heart attack. That pulled them all together, because what my client was imagining is that they're in the same room, and there's love between them, and they're hugging and all of that. And so that's exactly when he changed his assumptions, that is exactly what happened. And he asked me, he goes, did I create that heart attack? I go, no. Your dad creates his own reality. But in terms of the how those pieces fit, when those events happen, that's up to that higher power, the inner being the inner being of your father and your inner being, the higher selves, right? Determine how those events will play out. So he had a heart attack, and they got pulled into the same room, and he found himself hugging his father. I mean, they are now on the road to reconciling. So I thought this was really powerful intro or segue into today's lesson, that assumptions create your reality, all of it. I've talked about it in many different ways. And about yourself in the world. They essentially collapse time and space, just like with this new client that's been binge watching the channel. And this client that changed her assumptions about this specific person that she was interested in. They were just friends. This was her assumption. And that he wasn't pursuing her, and she wants to be pursued, and she's never pursued in her relationships, that she always is the one that has to pursue. All of these assumptions were there. And we think they're invisible, but they're not. Right? Your assumption, you can quickly find your assumptions. If the reality that you desired reality is not showing up, then you're assuming something that is contradicting it, right? So counter assumptions, right? And so her new assumptions bent time and space and changed her reality in less than 48 hours. right? She said, we had met, I think on Wednesday, and then I just got an email from her yesterday talking about the events of the day before or the morning after we spoke, and then the events that also happened that morning that she wrote me. So all of this happening very quickly. Her old assumptions about a specific person were this: we are just friends. He sees me as a friend. Hear this. He sees me as a friend. He can see her no other way. That's what she has created. She sees the relationship as a friendship. So she's going to be, those events of him showing interest, him pursuing her, are going to be invisible to her as she holds these assumptions, right? And this became clear as we talked and as she really thought about it, their relationship over the past years, that it was really an aha moment that he actually was pursuing her. She was seeing it wrong. She was remembering him wrong. She was remembering the events wrong, just like in the movie Solaris, right? And she says, he doesn't pursue me. I always have to initiate. I want to be pursued. And when she did or would reach out, like she would reach out to him, she created the resistance, right? That assumption that it's her making the first move versus just saying hello from the assumption that he is pursuing me. Do you see it? She was really hesitant whether she should reach out or not. And remember, it doesn't matter what you do or don't do. It matters what assumption are you coming from? From what are you assuming? Right? So she was assuming a friendship. She was assuming that he wasn't pursuing her. These were the assumptions that were they weren't invisible. They were right there as we talked about them, right? And so it was her changing her assumptions, seeing that as a romantic relationship, romantic potential, right? And seeing that when he does talk to her, when there are interactions, that he actually is reaching out. And this is what she concluded. But she shifted realities, right? She was in a reality where he didn't reach out, where they were just friends. But as she changed her assumptions, she moved to the reality where actually they're not just friends. And he is flirting and he is pursuing her, right? This is powerful. So remember, your assumptions are facts. They are reality. They're your facts. They're your reality. Assumptions create reality. But bigger than that, assumptions are reality. As Neville Goddard says, it's an assumptive world. Right? Your assumptions are everything. So there was a question that came up, and not in her session, but in another session on assumptions that I had. He goes, well, how do I believe them? Well, stop trying to believe them. Assumptions are beyond belief. They're facts of reality. That's the definition of an assumption. A thing that is accepted as true or is certain to happen without proof. That's an assumption. So instead of trying to believe it, accept it as true. Do you see the difference? Now we're not struggling to whether to try to believe these new assumptions. Instead, just accept them, just like you accepted those other assumptions as reality, as truth. That's what makes assumptions and beliefs so powerful, that we believe they are reality versus thoughts about reality. Do you see it? But you can make your assumptions reality. You can create reality around those facts. That's what makes them powerful. Right? A thing that is accepted as true or is certain to happen without proof. Stop trying to get the feeling of belief and simply accept your assumptions as reality, as truth. Do you see it? That other client that I had spoke to yesterday was trying to, not the one with the dad who had the minor heart attack, but even another one who was asking about assumptions. Stop trying to get the feeling of belief and simply accept your assumptions as reality, as the truth. Now you don't have to believe them because they're true. That's the definition of an assumption. They're reality, and you are reality. There's nothing outside of you. So when you assume something, that must be reality because you are the only reality. That I am. I am that I am. That's the only reality. So whatever you assume as I am must be the only reality. It must be truth of reality because you are the only reality. There's nothing out there, right? So when I speak, this is what Neville Goddard says, when I speak of feeling, I do not mean emotion, but the acceptance of the fact that the desire is fulfilled. In other words, just accept your new assumption as now the truth, as now reality, as the facts. Without proof, you don't need it. You are the proof. You are reality. It's acceptance, right? Stop trying to get a 3D feeling of good or a belief, and simply accept your assumptions, accept that inner conviction that when I announce reality as I am, that's reality. When God announces reality, that's reality in that moment, right? Your assumptions are reality. Your assumptions are your reality, right? She had that just friends, right? And then it turned into she started assuming, no, it's romantic. He's pursuing me romantically. He wants to date me. She went to these, right? And at first she was wobbly. She said she was wobbly. You know, he hadn't reached out. They hadn't reached out in 6 months, 5 or 6 months. I'm going to talk about this. But all on this assumption of just friends. But the wobbly comes from because you're trying to believe it. Forget about that. Stop trying to get the feeling of belief and simply accept it as a fact of reality, because you are reality. Your assumptions are reality. Accept it, as Neville Goddard says. When I speak of feeling, I do not mean emotion. Stop trying to get an emotion with it. But the acceptance of the fact that the desire is fulfilled. It's an inner acceptance, an inner feeling, right? The inner senses of conviction that it's done, that it's a fact, that when I declare it, it's a thing that's accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. That's powerful. So, and so in her email, I'm going to go over as she described these events. She said, so she's talking about what we had talked about on Wednesday, right? So she said in her email yesterday, you said I'd start getting movement from him on Instagram. The reason it's Instagram is that's the primary where they interact. That's how it's not messaging, but it's primarily text or messages on Instagram. So you said I'd start getting movement from him on Instagram, as that's where we interact within 24 to 48 hours. I always use that because, guys, remember, that's the 48-hour challenge. You're going to get movement when you change your assumptions. When you move within, it moves without immediately. And you start seeing it. It starts unfolding immediately, right? Since I had and she goes, so within 24 hours, since I had no awareness around my old assumptions of being just friends. I like the way she worded this. So look at this. She goes, I'd start getting movement on Instagram. She goes, since I had no awareness around my old assumptions of being just friends. I love her wording here. Powerful creator, right? She knows she's not new to this, right? Her new awareness, because she is awareness. You are awareness. You are consciousness. So whatever you are aware of is reality right now. There's no other reality outside of your awareness of being. What's your awareness of being? I am. It's the Jesus Christ of Scripture, right? I am. That is your awareness of being. It's I am that I am. I am that awareness. That new awareness around my old assumptions of being just friends. You specifically said I would start getting likes and comments from him. Of course. That's how they communicate. It's going to start. As she created this new awareness that they're not new friends, they're not just friends, that he's been pursuing her all the time, that it's romantic, it's flirting, there's love between them. That's what's going on. You remember our awareness of being. You are that I am of Scripture. So your old assumptions dissolve when you're aware of them. When you're aware that they're no longer your choice, those old assumptions must dissolve. They're no longer getting your light of being. You're allowing those to, they're no longer your choice. And if they're no longer your choice, you're no longer going to be aware of them in the same way. Do you see it? So the desired imagined end is a romantic relationship, which implies he is pursuing her. Because one of the questions was, well, then how do I imagine him pursuing me? I go, when you imagine yourself in a relationship with him, because you're not going to have a relationship unless he pursues you, it's implied. So just imagine the relationship. Imagine being with him. Imagine him pursuing you by imagining you being together with him. That means he must be pursuing you. Do you see it? So the romantic relationship is the opposite of just friends. Do you see it? So she is imagining that romantic relationship. That implies they're not just friends, and it also implies that he is pursuing her. Do you see it? The power of any imaginal act, as Neville Goddard says, is in what it implies, is in the implication. What does this imply? That they're together. So the assumption may be, and I want to say here, not maybe, but may be invisible, but they are not hiding. Your assumptions may be invisible, but they're not hiding. They're right there in the wide open, right? Hiding in the wide open, as she saw here. He hasn't messaged me first in 6 months. So he hasn't initiated in 6 months, and they haven't messaged at all between them, either one, in 5 months. So hear this, that's why she was doubting it. But it was only because of those assumptions that were in place, those beliefs, those assumptions, those facts, what she believed, how she saw herself and reality was just friends with him. And when that changed, though, that changed everything. That collapsed time and space. It collapsed that 5-6 months. Collapsed it all where he's actually pursuing her romantically. Where even as events that she now remembered, she saw them in him pursuing her romantically as opposed to just friends. Do you see it? She changed everything. She changed the past. She changed the present and changed the future, right? Doubt has no reality, right? Assumptions are the only reality. Doubt doesn't even make sense. Doubt is just believing in something or assuming something that you don't want. Do you see it? A doubt is just assuming an unwanted reality. That's all doubt is. So just decide what you're going to assume. Doubt has no reality. It's just assumptions. They're the only reality. So if you want to get rid of doubt, just don't get rid of it. Just stop assuming things that you don't want. Right? Stop assuming unwanted realities, or stop assuming that you're not going to get what you don't want, and start assuming the realities that you do want. Remember, assumptions determine outcomes, right? At first, I didn't think that it would happen so quickly, but I told myself no. I love this. I choose, in other words, I assume that I get movement in 24 to 48 hours. I'm God. So she went to the absolute assumption that she's getting movement. Doesn't matter the 5 or 6 months of no contact, right? Doesn't matter. She chooses. She assumes her reality. She is now seeing this as a romantic pursuit by him to really pursue her, right? The next afternoon, here it is, collapsed time and space. This is it's not a sign of a new reality. It's the new reality. We talked about signs. Right? Signs don't precede, they follow. It's a new reality. It's a new identity. The next afternoon, he liked one of my Instagram posts. After nothing, right? After nothing for months, he liked one of her posts. So things moved because she moved. She goes, this is in the email that she wrote me on yesterday. You told me to see, or in other words, assume that as him pursuing me. And she says it, I was wobbly on that part, but determined to choose, assume from the God perspective. I am that I am. I am that all new reality. I am God and there is no other. She was clear here. She was assuming and imagining as God, Christ, the Son of the living God. She got it, right? Remember, I remembered her wrong, and somehow I was wrong about everything from the movie Solaris. You're remembering wrong when you're remembering it as a reality that is not your desired reality. Do you see it? All images are possible. All memories are possible because they're just mental images. They're just imaginal acts of an event that you believed happened in the past. But all events happen right now. So that past image exists as well as all other possible past images. Because they're not past, they're all happening right now. So it's just about remembering it the way you would like it to be right now, right? That's the power of Neville Goddard's revision, right? You change the past by remembering him and the events righteously. Or in other words, from your assumption of wish fulfilled. That's what righteous thought means, from the assumption of how you would like things to be. And imagining them that they are like that right now. That's what she did, right? Remember, this moves you to the film role where you're not just friends, right? To the parallel alternative reality film role script and version of reality with a new version of you and a new version of events. So you're now moving from that. I wanted to say this moves you from the just friends to the new reality where you're in a romantic relationship where he's pursuing you, right? He has always pursued me, right? And he's always flirting. That's the new reality. Do you see it? This was the old reality where she was imagining him, right? Imagining being in a relationship with him, but with the assumption that they're just friends, with the assumption that he never pursues me. So it couldn't change as much as she imagined. Do you see? This is the past frame, the black. The green's always the current frame of reality, the current you in your present moment. And the violet or the purple is always the future frame or the future imagined reality. She was imagining it, but she was imagining from the assumptions that they're just friends, that he never pursues me. So it couldn't change. So she moved to a reality where what? They're still friends. Do you see it? The frames go on and she's still imagining. When she shifted, when she moved to the parallel alternative reality or film roll or script or version of reality, where now they're not just friends, that it's a romantic relationship, right? And that it's been a romantic relationship the whole time and that he's always been pursuing her. She shifted. Do you see it? She moved realities. Here it is. She started imagining it in the frames now. Do you see the future frame now starts blending or merging with that current frame? He starts lighting up her Instagram right there. As that future frame now becomes that present reality for her. She shifted and collapsed time and space as she moves into that new reality, right? He was always pursuing and always flirting with her. Very powerful. So for months, here's what she says. For months, I had been hung up on him pursuing me. That was the assumption. That was her reality, right? It's an assumptive world. You are reality. There's no reality outside of you. So that must be your only reality, that he's not pursuing me. You told me to go to the end, and that it's implied he pursued me if I'm with him. Go to the end. The end means if you're together in a romantic relationship, he must have pursued you, because that's the only way you would be with him. That's what, in her words, those were her assumptions. It's implied. Even though I really wanted him to message me first, that's implied now with your assumption. Do you see it? Even though she's still hanging on to this, even though I wanted him to message me first, we get that, but that messaging her first now, she doesn't have to hang on to that anymore. It's implied. Of course he's messaging her first. Of course he's pursuing her because they're together. She went to the end. She lit up that frame, right? This was her with still the old assumptions. This was, she went to the end with the new assumptions that they're together because they're not just friends, because he's pursuing her. And that's what lit it up. So remember, she would stop chasing conditions and create them. Your source, right? In some ways, she was just looking out at conditions, chasing conditions, trying to see what's wrong with the conditions, right? Why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he pursuing me? No one pursues me. We're just friends, right? Stop chasing conditions and create them. Your source. This is what she really stepped into. She stepped into it. Now, keep in mind, she's created a lot of amazing things in her life. And she's creating tons of things, right? She's a creator. Money, success, she has it all. This, though, was just because of that assumption. Hear this, after all the things that are surrounding her that she's creating, an amazing life. And even an amazing life with this assumption that they're just friends. It was perfect. She just moved that assumption, right? Remember, the power of any imaginal act is in its implication. Neville Goddard. What does it imply? It implies, of course, that if you go to that end with the assumption that has been romanced the whole time, that he's been pursuing you, then the implication is that he is messaging you first. He is reaching out, right? And she even had this thing where his birthday was coming up, and she wanted to message him to wish him a happy birthday. And she finally made a decision, I believe, that she was going to message him. Because I said, it doesn't matter what you do or don't do, it matters what assumption you're coming from. If you assume that you're messaging him from that idea that you're not just friends, that there is romance between you, that he is pursuing you, despite you reaching out to message him, then it doesn't matter. But he's going to reach out anyway, right? So her identity, and not just with her SP, was someone that always has to make the first move. She's had had lots of success with SPs, but it was always her. She felt it was always her reaching out, right? She always had to make it happen. She was chasing conditions. Okay? So stay with this. Stay with me here. This is followable. And so she writes, this is Saturday, yesterday. Today is his birthday. And I had already decided to wish him a happy birthday and not label it making the first move. So she already decided she's going to send him, this is what she had decided, that she's going to reach out on his birthday from the assumption that he's flirting with her, he's chasing her. It's romance between them, even though they haven't got together yet. It's not a just friends relationship at all. Then it wouldn't matter whether she reached out or not. If it's coming from that assumption, it's still going to lead to them being together in that romantic relationship with him pursuing her no matter what. Do you see it? It doesn't matter what you do or don't do when you're coming from the assumption of your wish fulfilled. When you're coming from that absolute reality of I am that absolute conviction that I'm already that person I want to be. Then whatever you do or don't do that you think is wrong action or not the right action won't matter, because your actions will be enchanted. Everything you do will lead to that desired end. But when you're not in your assumption, when you're assuming that you're just friends, that he never pursues me, then it won't matter how much she reaches out. It won't matter what she does that she believes is right action or the right action. It won't lead to her desired end, because she doesn't have the assumption. She's not conscious of being that identity for whom and through whom that reality of being in a romantic relationship with him pursuing her is real. Do you see it? So remember, assumptions create reality. What you do or don't do doesn't matter. They only reflect or express your assumptions. Do you see it? So those actions, what you do or don't do, don't matter. Those actions are only expressing or reflecting your assumptions, right? If you are not assuming your wish is fulfilled, in other words, conscious of being that person you desire to be, always pursued for romance in her case, right? Then it doesn't matter how much right action you think you're taking. It won't lead to your desired end, and vice versa, right? If you are in your desired end and you are coming from that assumption, then it doesn't matter what wrong action you believe you're taking. It's all enchanted. It's all magical now. It will all lead to your desired end. So, and this is what she said in her email after she said that she wanted to reach out. She's going to reach out without labeling it. She goes, but I also secretly wanted him to message me first. So I imagined that. So now she's imagining him messaging her first on his birthday after no contact for 5 or 6 months. She goes, she's imagining something that just seems very unlikely. Why would he reach out on his birthday, is what she's saying, right? But she's so now connected. She's so convinced within that inner conviction that she is that new identity. She is that new assumption that she's being pursued, that he's pursuing her romantically, that she says, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to imagine him reaching out to me on his birthday, resistance-free, right? That's power. And this is what she goes on. Even though it made no logical sense, why would he message me, she puts me in capital letters, on his birthday? It's been 6 months. Why would he even do that? Right? Big. And I love how she put me in capital letters. Me, the small me. Well, he's not going to message the small me that would be hung up with him pursuing her. It's the higher selves messaging each other, right? It's the I am, not the 3D you. So I love how she put that. So what happens? This is why she wrote me on yesterday morning to tell me about this. She goes, I woke up this morning to a message from him on his birthday. Whew. Tingles. No collapsing time and space. No contact for 6 months. On his birthday. What changed? She did. She changed her assumption. She changed reality. She determined who she is now. And that assumption now must be reality. So big. He is pursuing her, the new identity. Not the one that always is never pursued and that is just friends, the new identity that she's always pursued, and it's always romantic, right? It was just as I imagined, she says. I replied to his message with a happy birthday. So she still, hear this, she still got to wish him a happy birthday. He reached out not to say it was his birthday. He reached out on a message that she posted on Instagram. She knew it was his birthday, so she still got to say the happy birthday, but how did she do it? She didn't have to initiate. He initiated. She got to wish him a happy birthday. That's powerful. Her new assumptions collapsed time and space, and she shifted reality in less than 48 hours. And she's going to continue to give me an update as they get together, right? He is pursuing me. She shifted realities in less than 48 hours. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for joining our Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, where you can find us on facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. For joining our Instagram and Twitter, where you can find us at Tom Kearin, also on Threads now. And thank you for joining our membership channel. It's a new video. I think it's today that's coming out. When I polish it up, when I finish it, and this is going to be a big one. This is on the membership channel. Big video coming out. Big a story of a client who manifested his dream house and in bonuses and more money through his job. It's really extraordinary what he did. I'm going to give you the metaphysics behind it, how he moved. And we have a live stream next week, next Sunday, a week from today, August 6, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the morning, right here live in the studios of Be Something Wonderful here in Las Vegas. I'm going to come to you live. I'm going to answer some of those questions that you've been sending me on info@besomethingwonderful.com. Keep sending them, info@besomethingwonderful.com. Creators, with great light, with great love, and infinite gratitude, this is Tom with Be Something Wonderful in Las Vegas. We'll see you soon.